Welcome. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Hit the bell. Thank you for listening. This is Joey. Let's get started. This is going to be a part 2. I was talking earlier about dropping the ball, but originally the original topic was causality for our condition. And I said at the end, our real problem isn't lack of culture or picking up our pants or any bullshit like that. The real reason why black people suffer in America at the hands of the system more than anybody else, and it's deemed okay, is because of all different groups divided by race, groups divided by ethnicity, groups divided by sexual orientation, groups divided by personal interest, right? Like, what was that group before MAGA? That was the new right-wing wave. Was it the Tea Party? The one thing all these groups have in common that our group does not have is political access. Now, I know that's going to sound weird because the first thing in the average black person's mind right now is, what the hell are you talking about, Joey? We got black congressmen and women. We got black judges. We got black senators. We got black mayors. We've even had a black president. We got a black vice president. And all of that is true. I'm not going to argue with anybody with that. But let's just walk through something real quick. Black folks. When a black person gets a job somewhere, a job of some status of some sort, a job of somewhere, a company of note, just a job, and you're looking for the hookup at that job, you're not going to get shit, but you should go apply. That nigga's not going to help you get that job. And they might even have a good reason. Maybe they've been burned before by friends and family, whatever it is. But they're not going to help you get shit. In fact, if they see your name pop up on that resume pile, they might throw that shit in the shredder because you represent competition. We can't have another black person at this job. Now, why am I saying that? Black people. These black congressmen and women, senators, black mayors, they don't want nothing to do with your black ass. This is why they don't do black politics. They know that their blackness stops at representation. And that's it. That's it. They're not supposed to do anything for or with or even really acknowledge or associate with black people in any real meaningful way. I'm supposed to come here, eat some collard greens, hopefully keep it down, do one of the latest popular dances with the youngins, say some hip-hoppy type hip phrases, and then, exit stage left. I'm not to be taken seriously. Maybe I can be a Negro whisperer where I explain to white candidates how to best trick the black community. But I'm not here for you just because I look like you. That's how black politics works. You let the Hispanic community have 50 voting seats in Congress, they'll end up having half the country. As tight as the congressional house is right now, if you had 5, not 50, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 congressmen or women that were willing to band together on not voting for something unless they got X, Y, and Z, you would be holding the entire Congress hostage because the voting is so tight in Congress right now. It's literally 50-50 or 51-49. I believe it's 50-50 with the vice president being the tiebreaker vote. That's how tight Congress is right now. So you got 5 votes. You can hold the whole Congress. You can hold a whole branch of the government hostage if you wanted to. And you got 50 votes. You can run the Congress right now if you wanted to, but your black congressmen and women, they don't work for their black constituents. They work for the Democratic Party. All it takes is for you to listen to Joe Biden talking to your quote unquote black leaders like they are all from the Motisa tribe. Motisa? Talking to them niggas like they got tails. He's talking to them like somebody messed up his valet parking. And these are supposed to be your leaders. So imagine like seeing, I mean, really, it's a form of buck breaking when you think about it. He took the people that are supposed to be your biggest, strongest representatives and broke them in front of you. Let you know they don't run shit in your community. I do. Told you straight up verbatim, you are now lowered to a third-class citizen. I'm not going to help you out before I help out the Hispanics. You have to start getting behind the Hispanics. Think about that for a minute. That's how he started off the conversation. Listen up. This country is going to hell in a handbasket because it's not going to be majority white. That's directly white supremacy. But even beyond that, don't you niggers start thinking you got next. This ain't the WNBA. Shout out to the Hispanics. You better get behind them. That's how he opened up the conversation. Then said, furthermore, I ain't gonna do shit for you niggas. Not gonna do it because it wouldn't be prudent. That's your political leadership right there. And what he was doing in that video, see, because that wasn't even the most shocking portion of the video. What he was doing in that video was exposing something that I really wish a lot more black folks saw. See, because when that video came out, white political media saw it. They acknowledged it. They kind of snickered about it and they moved on. Only a teeny tiny frog's ass hair of the new black media even noticed it or even commented on it. And this is something that should have been drummed to the black community, because this is a prime opportunity to show a chief example of how the sausage is made. Joe Biden was in that room revealing something. He was revealing that them niggas are avatars. What do I mean by avatar? I mean that these people who were in this room, your Al Sharptons and all your little black congressional people, the people that were in that room were black people who are hired by the Democratic Party to infiltrate the black community. He wasn't talking to a bunch of black people whose power base comes from the black community. Because who your power base comes from, that's who gives you your marching orders. Because if you don't do what the marching orders tell you to do, your power base can take that power away. So if you had people that were coming in there that were powered by the black community, they wouldn't want to hear shit Joe Biden got to say. You can take that goddamn bass out your voice. My constituents told me to tell you. They wouldn't have to fear any repercussions because they would have known they would have done what their constituents told them to do, and they're in good standing. You can't get rid of me. My people going to re-vote for me. My people going to vote me back in. Ain't no problem. But when your power base comes from that white man, when it comes from the party, when it comes from Joe Biden, him talking to you on that podium, you're listening to the voice of God. He can make your whole career go away with a snap. Them people's job, he told them what to tell the black community that they're going to get. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, here come these niggas all on the Breakfast Club, all in their little Tom Joyner booze cruise circles and all that bullshit, all on Roland Martin talking about, well, y'all, this is all we going to get. It's like having, and let me just tell you a real quick story. My wife, she used to work for the county, or she used to work for the city, excuse me. And she was having some labor issues. The whole team was, right? And so she met with the union leader. And something didn't feel right about the advice that the union leader was giving her. I just didn't feel like was right, right? So then I asked her, I said, ask the union leader how they got selected. Ask the union rep how the union leader got chosen. She came back to me, and you know what she told me? She said the union leader was selected by management. And I told her, I said, you need to go get outside of this whole union thing. I said, you need to go find out. You need to ask your union rep, have I met the requirements for arbitration so that I can seek legal counsel outside of the union, which she did. And we went outside the union. And she later asked me, she said, why did you tell me to do that? And I said, think about this. If your union leader, union as in the group of people that are always going to be butting heads with management, right? If your union leader is selected by management, then that means your union leader is in management's pocket. Because if your union leader doesn't do what management says, you're going to have a new union leader. She thought about that. She said, you're right. Let me get this lawyer real quick. Sure enough, the lawyer gave her completely different advice from what her union leader was giving her. What companies have learned how to do is learned how to be kinder, gentler colonialist. They've learned, oh, we can still do this dirt as long as we change the names and make it look kinder and gentler and not so heavy-handed. People won't put the resistance up towards us if we just make it look like it's more humane. We'll make it look like you still have the balance of power in order. We'll make it look like you still have a union. Like you can go talk to your union rep if there's a problem. Nowadays, in most companies, talking to your union leader or whatever is just like talking to HR. And for those of you who don't know, don't never go complain to HR. HR is not there for you. HR is there to protect the company. But I digress. You have black political, big air quotes here, leaders who aren't selected by you. They're not chosen by you. They're not elevated by you. It's not like there's somebody in your ranks that you see he has the medal or she has the stuff and you want her to represent you. No, what happens to black folks a lot is some random nigga just gets thrown in front of us one day. They set these things up so perfect. They'll set up a whole scenario just so a nigga can look good in the moment so that we'll select that person. They'll get on TV and get a whole bunch of shine for saying something that becomes viral or something. And the next thing you know, we're putting that nigga in office. And then that's when we find out what his real policies are. And he's just another Democratic shill, right? We get people we haven't thought about the fact that black folks come from the black community. So we should be producing these people, not selecting the options that are given to us. And we've even been pretty good in that regard. There's been certain people we haven't fallen for that they tried to force on us, like Andrew Gillum. We knew something don't add up by him. Stacey Abrams. Although, to be fair, Stacey Abrams is on her shit. I don't agree with her politics. I don't agree with her strategy, but her tactics, her demeanor, her decorum, how she's on her business. She's an accomplished politician. If she was a white woman, she'd have been a senator by now. But again, I digress. Matter of fact, Stacey Abrams would be a perfect black candidate if she had black policies. That's the only reason she didn't win, because black folks felt like she ain't the candidate for me. I'm glad that a sister's doing her thing. I wish her the best, but To be honest, there's no difference between her being in this office and the white guy being in the office. It's the same thing. If you're black politicians, you basically get two kinds of black politicians. Black politician in a black city and black politician in a white city. Now, black politicians in both cities don't have any power, but there's a difference in the way you can handle things and in the way you can move if you're in a black city versus if you're in a white city. Black politician in a black city, you don't have to do anything. You don't got to balance a budget. You don't got to make new policies. You don't got to improve the city at all. It's a black city. 9 times out of 10, they won't even give you a budget. That's the sad truth. They don't tell a lot of black folks that when you got black mayors in these cities, half the time they don't even have any power or control over their budget. They're just a placeholder. They'll do horrible things. I was studying East St. Louis, Illinois for some time. And I was noticing, I believe her name was, because I believe she stepped down or she was replaced. She was an incumbent. Emikia Jackson Hicks was the mayor over there for a while. And when she was the mayor, I believe it's St. Clair County in Illinois, they would do that city's budget right over them. They wouldn't even let her see the checks. They wouldn't even let her see the money. They did the budget right over East St. Louis. And then they would give them, all right, here's what's left over for this in this year's budget. Here's what you're going to do. When you're a mayor of a black city, you're beholden to whatever larger adjacent white city you're next to and your racist ass white governor who ain't going to give you shit. It's just what it is. So you can mean well for your people, but you're really just going to be in a position where you're going to be clogging up the dam with a Band-Aid, trying your best. Look at what happened to black cities during the pandemic. Look at the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. Bad for him. Real young dude, good brother. He's trying. They'll give him no resources to work with. They're going to put Parchman Prison on his head. Like it's his fault. Like he built the prison. They don't give him no resources. It's Mississippi. And then they're going to put him on the news. Why are the conditions of this prison so bad? Well, you niggas don't give me no money. So you got black politician in a black city. You know, you represent some district in Congress, some black ass part. You represent Louds County, Alabama. Don't nobody listen to you. You're just in a black city, so it's inconsequential. If everybody in that city died from lead in the water, it would barely even make the news. And then you got black politician in a white city. Now, this person really don't got no power. But the only difference between this guy and the other guy is this guy don't give a shit. He knows that all he has to do is keep the white folks in his town happy. And to be honest with you, this person, I take that back. They got a little bit more power because they know that they'll keep getting voted in by the black folks and the white folks will keeping them around because it lullabies and soothes the black folks to sleep. Perfect example is that dusty mayor of Chicago, that woman. And all she has to do to keep white folks happy, see, they love someone like her because she plays the fiddle perfect. She's a black person, so she checks off that minority checklist, and she hates black people. So she treats black people like shit. She be cracking the whip on them because, you know, them alternative lifestyle blacks, I've noticed, usually like the gay blacks and stuff, they really don't like the rest of black society. So it's real easy to get the gay blacks to shit on the rest of black society whenever they get a chance, right? And you can't really say much because they're black too, and they're gay, so it's almost, so that's the game they like to play. Look at her come out with the zeal. See, it's really, really good to see these black politicians in white cities because you get to see firsthand how much differently they treat their black citizens versus their white citizens versus their black subjects, right? You got face mask rules going on all throughout the city. All throughout the city. Yet you got a mayor who, if you're white, she'll ask you to please put your face mask on. But if you're black, she'll send the squad goons out there to shoot at your head until you put your face mask on. White folks love having a mammy as a capo in the black community. That's always been a good, reliable lieutenant. Missy, oh man, she'll tell you which slaves ain't working hard, which ones is troublemakers when they planning to escape. She'll tell you everything with zeal. And you don't even got to pay her well. You just give her a sense of belonging and a feeling that she's over the other niggas, and she'll be proud to help you out. Look at the mayor of DC. Mayor of DC was going off full-throated, had her whole squad out there ready to crack some heads when niggas was Black Lives Matter protesting. She was out there with all the swagger. Hips just a swinging, neck snapping. I'm tell you, y'all better be inside by... When a very similar riot was going on, but all the rioters were white during the Capitol, she couldn't even say it was a riot on TV. We have some civil unrest. What do you have to say about the blatant white supremacy, the hand gestures, the threats to? We have some civil unrest. I don't want to talk about it. They don't got no real power. They're deputized to keep the black community in check, but they don't support or serve the black community. So when you have a group of people that are that separate from you, but are supposed to represent you, you can see where there's a problem. Your access to politics in your country should be like a link to the country. Your politicians, your activists, your lobbyists, they're supposed to be like a link in a chain to the country as far as access and power, not a wedge, not a cork, not a stopper. See, these black people that are in politics in America, they've made a career out of misleading black people. These people are the people that got planted in there after all the real black leaders got killed. You don't have real access to political power. Let me give you an example. This Stop Asian Hate bullshit started about 2.5, maybe 3 months ago. The bill done passed through Congress. It's passed the Senate. And it's waiting to get signed by Joe Biden and conveniently half Asian American Kamala Harris right now. In a minute. See, and the thing about it is, not only did this bill get fast-tracked, it's so disjointed and misleading. Technically, it's going to make Asians like elevated citizens, to where an Asian will be able to walk up and slap the shit out you in front of your mom. And if you put your hands up and defend yourself, it's going to be a hate crime. In a minute, if you're black and you go down the street and around the corner to go to the black nail shop instead of that Asian nail shop that was right there, it's going to be considered a hate crime. I'm dead ass serious. Well, now let me be a little real. What's really going to happen is it's not going to matter if you go patronize that Asian business over there and if you go support your black business, because they're going to give Asian communities a fat ass bag because you won't go to their stores. That's what this whole thing was really about. Go look at the bill. The bill cuts bread. It breaks bread. Now, my point of all that was this. A small, largely non-political group. It's not like Asians are known for their big waves of voting turnout. A small, largely non-political group was able to make a political argument and create political spectacle that culminated in policy change in 3 months. Meanwhile, right now, remember, Stop Asian Hate Bill got passed and got created and passed and will be signed in 3 months. Meanwhile, you got to damn the HR 40 reparations bill, the reparations study bill. You got in 2021 an anti-lynching bill still hung up in the Senate. They're still thinking about it. They haven't even brought it to a vote yet. And they haven't brought it to a vote. Just keep in mind, when they don't bring stuff to a vote in the House, that's because they don't think that they have the votes in the House. So the same exact group of people that can all come together, save for one Republican who did have a good point, an entire Congress of people can all come together nearly unanimously and extremely fast to decide that we should somehow stop Asian hate, right? That exact same group can't reach a consensus on whether or not we should stop lynching niggers. Think about that for a second. It's not like this is the anti-lynching Asians bill. This is a bill that basically saying, hey, man, you can't really shun Asians and you can't really say mean things towards them. And you certainly can't physically assault them just because they're Asian. That would be a hate crime, which is weird because we already have hate crimes on the books, right? It's not like our current hate crime bills. If an Asian person was like, oh, that person just beat me because I'm Asian and he said this and he said that, it was because I'm Asian and it's a hate crime, right? And they're like, no, our hate crimes don't cover Asians. It's not like that's how the rule was and you had to make a special Stop Asian Hate bill. The hate crime laws already on the books were plenty sufficient. But just think about that. A Stop Asian Hate bill was created, passed, and signed into law in 3 months. They're still the exact same people are still hem-hawing on whether or not they should stop lynching you. It's been 400 years. Now, that's not because you don't have a culture, which that's a weird thing to say. That's not because you don't have a culture. That's because you don't have access to political power. The people who you elect for free. All they got to do is be black. You don't even know their policies. You don't even demand certain policies of them. If black politicians knew tomorrow, I am not going to get a single black vote. I will not be reelected if I don't deliver on X, Y, and Z. They would have to deliver on X, Y, and Z or step down or be stepped down. And you would just keep bringing in someone until they get it right. That's all you got to do. You have all the power. But because they know that we don't know, they take advantage of us. And they don't do anything that we don't make them do. Politicians are cowards. Black politicians, doubly so. Doubly so. In fact, I would go as far as to say, if you had all of a sudden a uprising, not a physical or violent uprising, but an uprising, a political uprising in the black community where all of a sudden we started demanding more from our candidates, right? Expecting more of our candidates. Do you know that most of these politicians in the black community that are in Congress, they'd probably just resign? You'd be amazed at how many niggas are not up to snuff that are successful politicians in the black community that don't know shit. We had a congressman in the Congressional Black Caucus that was so dumb. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I almost want to pause this and look up his name. They were going to put a bunch of troops on an island. And this man was trying to block the decision to put the troops on the island because, and I quote, "That's too many troops to go on the island. It's going to capsize." This man thought that if you put too many soldiers on the island, that the island would flip over. Like it's just a big plate floating in the water. Like it's not grounded onto nothing. There's no foundation. It's not coming up from the floor bed of the sea. It's just a floating mass of sand that if too many soldiers stand on, the whole thing will flip over like a log. That's really what a sitting black politician thought. His name was Hank Johnson. That's his name. Hank Johnson's dumbass. And he really sat there talking about Guam's going to tip over and crumble into the sea if we put too many soldiers. This is the kind of shit. And if you watch the video, I'm going to include the link to the video. If you watch the video, the other white politicians are like damn near choking back laughter. Like these dumb niggas. Like, oh God. Guys, I'm sorry. We got an affirmative action quota and we got to keep a couple of niggas. Like, it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. You ever hear somebody say something dumb and you're almost afraid to tell them because then they're going to realize that they're dumb and you don't want to hurt people's feelings? Hey, you just wrote down 2 + 2 is A, and that's a letter. Like, it's something so dumb that if you explain it to them, it's going to come off like you're insulting them, right? That's how the people had to explain to them, that that island wouldn't tip over. And you can see on his face the embarrassment. He knows that's going to be a news story, which it was. He knew that was going to be a news story the second he realized he screwed up. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you picked an average nigga off the streets of any ghetto in America, gold teeth in his mouth, gold chain, smelling like weed and Izzy Miyake, the nigga is not going to tell you that an island will flip over if you put too many people on it. It's not a flotilla. A nigga's not going to tell you that. A nigga's going to look at you like you dumb if you ask him that. So I'm asking you, if the average black person, I'll even go as far as to say bottom tier black person, uneducated, from the streets, right? If the average or below average black person would not think something that dumb, and certainly wouldn't go as far as to openly with his chest out make the statement like it's a fact, right? If the average or below average nigga wouldn't do that, how do we have somebody who's one of our best and brightest doing that? I can understand if he was like the vice president. Vice presidents have a history of sometimes being kind of dumb, like Dan Quayle. And you can be kind of dumb. You can say dumb shit. You really just kind of stand there and be in meetings. But if you're in like the Congress, like you're interviewing, like you're interrogating people. You have the power to go to war. Like you got to kind of know what you're talking about, right? This man really thought that an island was like a giant frisbee floating on the water. And that's just one example. If you ever heard Sheila Jackson Lee talk, if you've ever heard Jim Clyburn try to read something while in a Senate hearing, if you've ever really talked to these people and seen how they move, they're not people that are respected in the Congress. The other white congressmen and women know that they're dumb and inadequate, and they know that the only reason that they're in office is because they just ran on being black, and black folks be trying to support. We don't have any other better candidates. We don't have serious candidates who run. Watch this. This will blow your mind, black people. Really, really think about this. Are you ready? Watch this shit. Any black person in any part of America right now that has ever voted for a black person for office, go on and name to yourself what was the policy they were running on that really convinced you to vote for them. What was the policy? And I don't want you to feel bad. This is something I want you to notice. Not a one single black candidate for office ever runs on a policy. You ever notice that? They never run. Like when you see two white candidates running, right? When you see two white candidates running, even if it's like a mayor role, there's always going to be two scenarios. Either one of the candidates is coming with a new idea that they really want to push, and everything that you talk to that candidate about is on the merits of that new idea. Hey, man, this new tax proposal, is it going to be fair? Is it going to be blah, 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 blah? How is this going to cover the budget for? Or option two, if it's not new idea guy, it's what are we going to do about that last problem guy? What do I mean by that? One year in my city, it snowed. It snows every now and then in the wintertime. And we throw down the de-icer. Everybody's fine, right? One year we had this environmentally conscious mayor. And he didn't tell anybody that he didn't believe in using the de-icer because it was bad for the environment. So lo and behold, that one day of the year, that 1 week of the year where it snows in the wintertime, only this time ain't no de-icer. So people are really just driving around in the ice and the snow unexpectedly in a city of people that aren't used to driving around in ice and snow and ain't got no tires or chains for ice and snow. So as you could imagine, it was a disaster, right? It was people crashing, big traffic jams, buses cut off on their routes, delivery of goods and stuff was halted and undermined. So as you could imagine, for that mayoral race, he wasn't even in the race no more. They didn't even want to. He said, I'm not even going to run for re-election. And guess what the topic was? Guess what the topic was for the debates during that election with all the new candidates? How are we going to fix that problem from last time? Everybody that was up on that stage, they weren't talking about budgets. They weren't talking about the future. They were talking about, when I'm elected, here's how I'm going to make sure that those snow plows are out there and ready. Those are two options. You have to go look towards the future, or you're going to look towards how do we fix what happened in the past. When you got a black mayor, when you got a black congressman, when you got a black politician in charge of your city or your county or whatever, they don't even run off no ideas. They just be like, vote for me. We gotta stick together. That's all they say. They don't even have policies for you. They're not even allowed to mention you. Just go on and think about, name me one time in recent history. Don't dig back into goddamn Marion Barry or something like that. I'm talking about recent history. The last 30, 40 years. When have you seen a black politician run on an actual policy? Now, when you got a black politician running in a white city, they'll run on a policy, but it's like more so, it's easier because the white folks is going to tell you what the hell you're going to be running on. Hey, Leroy, you're going to pass provision 1, right, Leroy? Oh, yeah. I'm a pass provision 1. You almost don't even have to run on the policies because you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. And every white person knows a black politician is just going to do what the white people say. So if you're a black Democrat, you're going to be chalk for the Democratic Party. You're going to do whatever policies the Democratic Party says. You're never going to buck the line. If you're a black Republican, you're going to do whatever the Republican Party tells you to do because that's who pays your pockets. That's who you're loyal to. You're not going to buck the system. There ain't going to be no black Joe Manchin that's going to be telling you what he needs to get before he votes with you. They're going to do what they say. Think about it. You never even see Nancy Pelosi even have any problems getting like the reason why Nancy Pelosi has power in Congress is because she has the black congressional caucus under her foot. So right off the bat, she got 50 votes whenever. She don't got to work for that. She don't got to give them nothing. Hey, niggers, we're voting on this today. Yes, sir. That's as far as the negotiations go. So then right off the bat, she's got 50 votes that she can then go to other groups within Congress and go, hey, I've got 50 vote momentum from the niggers. Can you guys back me up on this? Oh, sure, we'll join. And what that does, when you've got 50 votes guaranteed under normal circumstances, like I said, right now, Congress, the House is so tight, you need every vote. But under normal circumstances, if Nancy Pelosi comes to you and says, I'm trying to get votes for whatever thing, and all 50 of the niggers have already voted exactly like I always tell them to vote, now that frees you up to not have to vote for certain things if you don't want to. You might have a different situation with your constituents in your hometown where it wouldn't look good for you to vote on this thing that Democrats nationally want to vote for. But you can tell Nancy Pelosi, hey, you already got enough niggers voting for you on this. I'm not going to do it. I need to play up the whole fiscal blue dog Democrat thing. Can I not vote? Sure, it's fine. We got enough niggers. Makes it super easy. They're part of her power base. She doesn't have to work for their votes. She cuts all their checks for them to run their campaigns and get reelected. So they know where their bread is buttered. They ain't going to say shit. These are your black politicians. All this stuff going on in the streets to black people. Have you seen a single black congressperson provide a serious piece of legislation? That George Floyd anti-lynching bill ain't shit. And it hasn't even fucking passed. They still didn't pass that. They got all that clout, all that attention off of George Floyd. And once that fanfare died down and that case was closed, they still said, I'm not voting for that bill. You have, should you decide to take it, a very powerful pathway to political power. You got 50 votes in Congress. You got whole black districts, key districts. Go back and look at the election. I always remind people of this. During the height of the election last year, black population of and the last 6 remaining states was some of the most popular searches on Google. That wasn't niggas trying to figure out how many niggas live in Wisconsin. That was white folks trying to figure out how many niggas live in Wisconsin. You will never, ever see a white person praying for black people to live in their city harder than a Democrat during election season last year. Oh, God, please let there be niggers in Wisconsin. Please let there be niggers in Wisconsin. Please, God, please, God, please. Please. I've saw some of them on the Packers. I've seen them Lambeau Leap. God, please let them be in Wisconsin. Wisconsin got what, 15 or 10 electoral college votes, I believe. I think it's 10. Don't quote me. Population, the black population in Wisconsin is 6%. The black population of Milwaukee County, where the whole damn state came down to, the black population is 6%. So because that county went blue, the whole state went blue too. So even in states where you aren't even 10% of the population, you still sway the vote. This is why states like Mississippi scare the shit out of them. Because a motivated, let me tell you something. A motivated Mississippi, you get a bunch of black folks with something to vote for, Mississippi would turn blue in a snap. In a snap. It's 30% black people over there. So they keep your reigns to power cut off. They've replaced all your black political leaders and all your black politicians and stuff, all your lobbyists, because the NAACP is supposed to be a lobbyist group. Like, you know how cigarette companies got lobbyist groups that make Congress go in and go, cigarettes don't cause cancer. Just go ahead and put them in schools. It's no problem. You have a lobbyist group for black people that's supposed to be able to go in there with lawyers and whisper into politicians' ears, well, really staffers' ears, to make laws. But just like your black politicians, the NAACP, and they'll openly state this, they don't care about niggas no more. There's no money in niggas. There's money in people of color. All your groups, all your institutions are defunct and lacking because we've let them be infected with implants. People that just look like us. They don't have our ideology. They don't have our goals in mind. They don't know our struggles. They don't have us in mind. They have their next little paychecks in mind. These are people that'll use your son or daughter's dead body to collect donations, and so they can do Cadillac commercials. These people don't feel anything for you, but they know how to play all that blackity black power and black fist and the struggle. They know how to play all that imagery up to get a certain emotion out of you. That's how they play the game. And they know that if black people ever stopped falling for it, the second it no longer looked like they had pull with the black community, there goes all their notoriety in the white community. There goes their worth in the white community. Because if I'm in the white society, I don't need you if you can't influence black people to do what I want them to do. What's the point? The real reason why we suffer is because those niggas let us suffer. And if you want any further proof that they're not even respected in the House and in the Senate, look at what happened in that Capitol riot. There was destruction all over the place. There was intrusion all over the place. But they were only planning to kill the black ones. You notice Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. She's the most prominent, most visible, most upfront member of Congress. They weren't going after her. They went and took a picture inside her office and called it a day. But they cut the emergency buttons in the black people's areas. They specifically found out where Jim Clyburn's real office was. They was looking for the black congressmen and congresswomen. They was going to try to hang them some niggers that day. That's what the goal was. And not only that, the Democratic Party left them niggas out to die. They didn't get no added security like everybody else got. They got left out to die. Anna Presley and all them. She put in a report saying that the emergency buttons had been cut weeks before. They didn't do that. Sorry, nigger. Not our problem. Our buttons work. When the shit went down, Nancy Pelosi was already comfy and safe in a panic room. She was fine. It was the niggas that was hiding and praying and shit. So that should have let you know right there. You need to shore up your power with your base. You need to come back and talk to black folks. We all you got. But we're beyond that now. And it's time, honestly. I'll know that we are getting it and that we see where our power is when we get rid of all these Congress members and all these fake black mayors, all these little fake black judges. Like, think about it. You honestly can't even really name one time having any of these black faces in high places even came in handy. Did it feel good when you watched the Amber Geiger trial? See, this is what cracks me up. You got black activists and black politicians, and then you got black celebrity, which is the worst. Which is just by far the worst. The black celebrity makes the black politician look like Martin Luther King. Just the worst. The black celebrity is the sleaziest piece of shit when it comes to politics, because they know more than the politicians how this game works. They're way better at using their influence than any of these politicians are. Any of these politicians could ever hope to be. And they come in and they endorse these monsters. And it's not something to where they're just doing a quick endorsement. They don't know what they're getting into. They love being tools of this hustle. Juicy Smouye faking like he got attacked by some MAGA people so that they could pass that. Not even pass that, so they could add LGBTQ people onto an already existing bill, a civil rights bill. That was to raise up the emotions. Oh my God, he almost got lynched in Chicago. And before you know what happened, a bill's getting passed. And when they got found out that it was all fake and he was in jail, magically, some very highly connected political powers called and made a phone call and the shit all went away. You want more examples? Meg Thee Stallion. And this one really pissed me off. This is what I was going to say a minute ago. Meg Thee Stallion, who, thank God, has taken a little bit of a break from rap and stuff, so I guess her coochie can air out. She just got 1,000 songs thoughting it up, and I know she's got to have a yeast infection by now. But Meg Thee Stallion jumped her big twerking ass into the Breonna Taylor case and tried to use this as an opportunity to attack black men and say this is black men's fault. They all because the DA was a black male coon. Now, to be fair, he was a coon. He is a coon, a large coon. But if we're going to use that as an example to say that black men do black women dirty, where are these same people when Botham Jean was killed by Amber Geiger? Look at damn near the exact same situation with just the genders flipped. Breonna Taylor, you got white cops breaking in to kill Breonna Taylor in her home, and she didn't do nothing wrong, right? And then you got a black male DA who upheld the sucker shit, right? So you got a black political position of power that's helping uphold white supremacy, and we use that to say black men ain't shit, right? But when it's Amber Geiger, white officer, goes in, kills a black dude in his home, right? Now, who do you got? That's the judge. Matter of fact, before you even get to the judge, you had a black woman sheriff, a black woman Texas Ranger, a black woman sheriff, helped her get home. Just girl, just go ahead and go home. You have a black woman sheriff tried to cover for Amber Geiger. You have a black woman sheriff stroking Amber Geiger's hair during the trial and hugging her and just rubbing her back. You got a black woman judge doing Negro spirituals and church hymns and tearing up and can I hug you? Can I hug you, white woman? I'm just so sorry. I gotta convict you. I'm so sorry. Was doing everything she could to hold up the process. Seemed almost saddened by the guilty verdict, right? Gave a light ass sentence and shit. Now you notice that when it's the exact same thing with black women in charge doing that coon shit, we don't get to say, oh, black women ain't shit and y'all messing black men up. You see the contradiction right there. The double standards. Y'all ain't fighting for Breonna Taylor. Literally an entire platoon of Negroes showing up to the house of David Cameron, that's the DA's name, the coon, blocking whole city freeways, turning it into an event. Black men ain't standing up for black women. You can just say anything. We point out Amber Geiger, that's different. Botham Jean probably liked white women, so it's okay he got killed. Y'all use any excuse. But again, I digress. The problem isn't black men's, and it ain't even black women's. It's that you have suckers in office. You got suckers in office that don't even feel threatened by the idea of you being displeased with their performance. Let me go back to the Chicago mayor. She don't even feel like you can vote her out. She feels like she got put in that position by white people. So she don't got to answer to you. She don't got to treat you with respect. She don't got to be fair to you. There's a white person walk by. Hi, Missy Ann. Oh, yes, this is a new suit I'm wearing. She straightens up and flies right when white people walk by. Like her white girlfriend. They know who to talk to. They're just like the cops. The cops know who to talk to. Hey, get your black ass out of the car, nigger. Hi, sir. We noticed that you had some expired tabs and 2 warrants for your arrest, and looks like you're holding a gun. Can I please get you to put that? Oh, you don't want to put it down? Okay, it's fine. Hey, you want some Burger King? They know who to talk to crazy like that because they know who does and who does not have access to political power. Consequences and repercussions. What do white people say when they get pulled over? Hey, man, my taxes pay your salary, pal. You'll hear from my lawyer. What do we say? Man, this is some bullshit, man. It's fine to do nothing. That's all we can say. We can't do anything. You want political power overnight? You can have it overnight. All you have to do is take back your institutions. Every single member of Congress, every single Black Caucus member is a member because they're a member of Congress. And they can only be a member of Congress by being voted in by their district. Not by the country, where it's only 13% black. By their district, which be 97% black. Do you see what I'm saying? You have complete and total control over who gets in that office. Complete and total control. Full stop. Not one nigga from the Congressional Black Caucus is sitting there from anything other than a damn near all black district. See, our problem as black people politically is we get caught in this cycle. One side of the cycle tells you that your ancestors died for the right to vote, which is, bullshit, and that you got to vote right now. You got to vote. And they tell you that voting's super important, but they don't tell you how you should vote and that you should be vetting your candidates and you should be intimately aware of the policies. They don't want you to do any of that shit. They want you to vote. If they could have it their way, they would just hand you a pamphlet with the person they want you to vote for circled around it and just go, vote, brother. Because you're a commission for them. However many votes they bring into the Democratic Party, that's a commission for them. They don't really care, and they know for a fact that these politicians aren't going to really improve your life. And then when you get discouraged, see, now this is the right wing, left wing game. The left wing uses you. The right wing discards you. Watch how this goes. So you just got done voting for some Democrats, and once again, they screwed you over, right? Right? They're not going to do nothing for you, but they're going to go ahead and have some Frederick Douglass, the Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X bill for LGBTQ. And you're like, what the hell? Right? They're going to figure out some way to use your identity as political capital while not giving you a goddamn thing, right? And you'll be so dejected as a voter. Guess what you start listening to now? Now you start listening to the Umarian vibrations in your system and going, man, I shouldn't vote at all. I should just be completely separate from politics, man. The politics, man, this white man's politics ain't for me, man. Poly means many and ticks means a blood-sucking animal. And it's a blood. Then you start getting discouraged on that level and you don't vote at all and you become part of the non-voting group, which is just as good as voting for the wrong person. Right? So then you're caught up in that to where you either vote for one guy or the other, or you don't vote and the other guy gets it. And you're so mad because you're not realizing by the time they're bringing you a pamphlet with names to vote on or initiatives to vote up or vote down, it's too late already. A lot of black people don't know you're actually allowed to be involved in the process of what even goes on the ballot. Yeah, you can choose who runs for office. You can choose who's going to be your choices. You can make up your own initiatives and present them. You get enough votes, you can do whatever you want to do. But we don't get involved with the politics like that. We get involved at the voting time. It's a couple weeks before election. Who running? Hey, man, we got to go vote for so-and-so or so-and-so is going to get in. Oh, not that. I got to hurry and vote. That's how they get us every time. That's how they get us every time. We don't come out to midterms. We elect whole congressmen and women. We don't even go to the midterms. We got 50 votes in the House. We don't even do the midterms. So you know that means that shitty candidates are sneaking by. Or how about this? And this I'm not blaming just black folks on. This is all of us, but we can't afford to do it. When you do vote and you get that pamphlet, right? And your ass just start barreling through anybody with a D on their name. D. Then you get past all of them and you get to the judges. And the judges, there'll be 2 Democrats or 2 Republicans or people with no letter by their name. And you just start voting on which name sounds less racist. Oh, that guy sounds like a German last name. I don't know about him. This dude sounds Filipino. He might be cool. You don't know, right? You're just guessing. Then it gets even worse. Then you get to the initiatives and all the initiatives and the proposals. And they intentionally phrase those initiatives and proposals in the most confusing way to where you don't know which way you're voting when you vote. It's not just black folks. It's everybody. Initiative 201. Do you want to not ungive non-taxes to the street level, or do you not want to not undo that? What? What? Are you not for taxes or are you not for untaxes? Which one? So you just put down one or the other. Like, be honest. I know some of you are nodding your heads right now because we've all done it. We've all done it. There's a lot of young voters. We've all done it. It's not like you're sitting there with homework prep to know what a lot of these things are for. If you're an average voter, the only thing you see on the election cycle is the president. You might not even see your congressman running. You might see signs locally as you drive around. You might see, vote yes on Initiative 503. No, fuck that. Vote no on Initiative 503 right across the street. You don't know. And if it's not something that directly affects you, you're not going to be as intimately familiar with it or interested in it. Just being honest. We need to start having boot camps. See, this is where that new media is supposed to come in. Because the old media is specifically designed to not tell niggas shit. It's designed for that, to not let you know what bills are coming up, to not let you know what bills affect you, to not let you know what judge, hey, that judge right there, this judge, he has the most convictions overturned due to bias and racism. Oh, I didn't know that about this dude. I'm gonna vote for the other person. They don't tell you that. They just give you two choices because they know. They stack the deck. They don't know what the hell they're voting on. We have to start becoming more politically educated. And the only way we can do that realistically and quickly is through our new black media. You see how touchy they got. There was a brief moment where new black media had hit the third rail where it was like, ooh, tangibles. You don't get nothing from the black vote if we don't get no tangibles. They didn't even know how to answer to that. They didn't even know how to even ignore that. They started saying, they went tangibles. Oh, God. They didn't even know how to ignore that because what media does is media can do two main things when it comes to politics. Media can manufacture consent and media can create echo chambers. We can beat the drum to where it sounds like it's the only thing everybody's talking about. And we can manufacture consent by making it seem like, oh, this is clearly the will of the people. If you can't speak directly to your politicians like you're supposed to be able to, then you have to speak to your politicians through one language they understand very well, which is political pressure. This is really simple stuff. It's just about doing the work. When you sit back and you realize how this game works, it's almost one of them things to where you'll laugh and go, damn, I thought they had more power than this over us. This is all they were doing this whole time? Yep, that's all they were doing. That's all they were doing. Things look like they're magic tricks until you figure them out. You're like, oh, shit, it's smoke and mirrors. Clear out your infrastructure. It's time for an upgrade. It's time to start. I wouldn't be mad if we had a whole bunch of Stacey Abrams in office. I know a lot of people aren't really impressed with Stacey Abrams, but my only problem with her is that she doesn't have a black political platform. We can fix that. Once you see, Stacey Abrams is the type of person where you'll be able to reason with her. She is a striver. I already know her game. She wants to be somewhere high in office, not as a mayor, not even as a congresswoman, not as maybe a senator. I know she shot for senator, but I think even higher than that. I think she wants some sort of a cabinet position. I think senator would be a rung on the ladder. I think she'd want to be senator so that some person who becomes president can say, I want her on my foreign affairs cabinet. I want her on my such as. I want her to be the ambassador of XYZ. She's that capable. She's Condoleezza Rice capable. And I know she has ambitions. But she's in danger of putting the cart before the horse because she's neglected her black base too quickly. I know she doesn't really want to have nothing to do with us because we're politically toxic. We're politically disadvantageous at this point in the game. That can change, but right now we're politically disadvantageous. We're politically toxic. So if you're a Stacey Abrams and you have big political ambitions, like I just said, to become an ambassador, to become on a presidential cabinet somewhere with a high-ranking position, a board member, some sort of a committee member, if those are your ambitions, eventually you'd want to segue or transition from black politics as quickly as you could. The problem with that for her is she's too detached from black politics too early. And because of that, white people detect that she doesn't have a power base. They detect that if they snub her like they did, that black folks aren't going to trip like we didn't. Because we didn't have any skin in the game with her beyond she's a like face. She's one of us as far as how she looks. But it's not like, oh, damn, they didn't. man, they didn't select Stacey Abrams, so now we're not going to get inter policy here. She didn't even have a policy for niggas because she knew the one thing that would mess her election up for senator, not mayor of Atlanta, but senator of Georgia, is to be a black person coming out talking a little bit too much black politics in a state that's got a city, Atlanta, that they feel is a little bit too black anyway. Let's keep it real. We know she couldn't really speak on us that much, not right now. We're politically disadvantageous. So she played her hand a little bit too heavy to where she was too distant from black people to the point to where white folks felt comfortable not voting for her. They had no fear of irritating black folks. They had no fear of, damn, if we don't elect her in this position, then black folks might not vote for XYZ down the line. They knew black folks were largely detached from Stacey Abrams, and she was largely detached from us. But, like I said, a person smart like Stacey Abrams, you can negotiate with her. She sees the writing on the wall. She knows her window is shrinking. You come to her and go, hey, look, man, we need you to throw us some kind of a bone to get the black community excited and get behind you. You don't got to come out preaching like you John Lewis or nothing like that, but just, you know, you're smart enough to come up with a way to phrase some kind of a policy that'll be beneficial to us, that we can get behind. Even if you threw a wink out about, you know, HR 40, something we can go, or HR 40 is a little bit too loose. You had some sort of bill that you were putting out that was going to put money in some niggas' pockets, something off of the pandemic. If you came out and said, hey, look, a lot of black businesses got the shaft during the pandemic. They didn't get as good of access to those triple P loans. And so I need to go ahead and push something for small business in the state, especially for African Americans and small. Oh, you do that, it's game over. Now you have a black policy. You have something on your platform that's for us. Now you got every vote in the state. And not only every vote, you got enthusiasm. You can't make up enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the difference between me getting my cousins to vote for you too. The difference between me standing in line. The difference between me sharing that I voted with other people or telling other black folks in the city about you. You never know. But see, a person like a Stacey Abrams, you can reason with because she's playing a higher level political game with the Democratic Party than most black candidates. She has higher ambition. She's not just there trying to get a job. You had a congressional black caucus of 50 Stacey Abrams that you can negotiate with. You got a problem on your hands now. Not because she's some sort of black power lioness, but because she is very capable. She's very tempered. She has an energy kind of similar to a Colin Powell, to where even if you don't agree with this person, you respect the prestige, you respect how she carries herself, and you know she knows what she's talking about. There's a video clip that came out a couple days ago where she's against that voter bill, that voter restriction bill. And a white politician tries to call her out like, oh, well, you got a problem with the bill. Go ahead and tell me specifically what you have wrong with the bill. He was trying to put her on the spot, right? This woman did a full fucking dissertation paper. She went, like, you know when somebody really knows their stuff and you try to put them on the spot and with no hesitation, no pauses, and no ums, they go right into their answer. Well, man, what do you really have a problem with the bill? Well, under section article code 221 subsection Q, like she went in. And he tried to save face. And he's like, what else? What else? What else? And she kept going. She kept having at no point was she like, no, she kept going. Well, and furthermore, and blah, 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 blah. And henceforth, to the point to where he had to finally go, all right, I get your point. You made yourself look dumb. The video already went viral. You know how much they love to go to the scene, the scene of the crime and put the dumbest nigga on the camera. How would you feel if they did that and that dude happened to be a Rhodes Scholar and he's like the most professional interview? That's what happened. Dude played himself. And that elevated her status with the black community because we looked and said, oh, she can handle her shit. If he would have did that to Jim Clyburn would still be shuffling his papers right now, pretending like he can read. Jim, that paper's upside down. Oh, yeah, I know. I was seeing if you knew. If that would have been Sheila Jackson Lee, like, oh my God. Thank God that was Stacey Abrams up there saying that. Or they would have made us all look like idiots. The black people that are selected to the Congressional Black Caucus, the ones that are selected to be able to run, these are some of the dumbest, mediocre people with no ambition other than to keep their job. They're selected specifically for those qualities because that type of quality means you'll never outshine the master. You'll always do what Pelosi tells you to do, as long as that check comes. You've got to start flushing them out, and you've got to do it early. And you have all the power to do so. Now, the question is, where are you going to find your candidates? Because the only thing worse than bringing in a bunch of stooges like the Democratic Party has done to do their bidding for them, the only thing worse than having a bunch of black stooges in office would be to have a bunch of inexperienced, plucky, young, ineffective people in office. And it wouldn't be long before they would end up just becoming stooges again. It would be just like, look at the Squad for an example of what you don't want. You don't want some people coming in full of piss and vinegar, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, with no knowledge of how the game works, and then just watch them get suckered by Nancy Pelosi, because then they slowly realize that the reason why Nancy Pelosi has power in Congress is because she's the person who's always been in charge of the campaign financing. And if you're a congressperson, you got to run every 2 years. So that's why Pelosi's the constant, because she got the money. That's how Pelosi got into office, when she was funding people. She was in charge of the purse strings. So she don't really got to debate with nobody or go back and forth. She knows eventually if you want to keep your job, you're going to do what you're told. Look at AOC. She came in talking big shit. They was going to hold votes from making Nancy Pelosi the speaker again, and we're going to do this, that. Man, as soon as that money, I knew she was going to break first, because the first thing you saw AOC complaining about when she got into Congress was how expensive it was to live out there. Remember she was complaining about wanting a pay raise. People be thinking when you become a congressperson that you just balling. You just made it. Like, no, you don't get paid that much money like that, which is why they be so corrupt, because lobbyists come by and start throwing them money. The Democratic Party or the Republican Party, depending on which affiliation you choose, whichever gang you're in, but the party, they're going to cut your financing if you get out of line. You're controlled by your campaign financing and your slush fund. So when I saw her complaining about how she wasn't getting paid enough and she couldn't afford to live out there, but she has to report to work, so she has to live out there, that's how they get you. I said, oh yeah, she's going to break first. You went from talking all that shit about Nancy Pelosi to now you calling that woman Mama Bear and shit. Like, that's like seeing AOC called Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear was like seeing Lil Wayne kiss baby. It's like, oh my God, it's confirmed. Because you need that money. But see, if you're a black candidate and you're running and you're in the Congressional Black Caucus, you can get all the money from Nancy Pelosi you want. If we decide you're out of there, you're out of there. And then the new guy that comes in, if Nancy don't like him, she can try to cut his financing. The next guy that comes in is going to be the same shit. It's like, we could outlast you now. Because every time you bring in a new guy, and if he ain't the one we want, we just get a new one. Ain't like we're going to run out of black folks. We're the ones who make black folks. So we have the advantage, right? So we got all day. We have to start taking over our institutions. It's the easiest thing we can do. We have to, the trick, the very first step doesn't cost a dime. It becomes getting more politically educated. And that is 110% on the new black media. We need you guys to be on this shit like a hawk, because they're going to try to slip through every lie, every misconception, every misleading fact or half truth that they can in order to continue to sway black people.